whatever it is. Good morning from God's long lost mitten. Happy Tuesday, because it's better than Monday. We got some interesting thing going on. Of course, our beloved Republican Party is letting us down again. God, just... Oh, yeah. We'll get into it. Then we got some other issues going on in the world. Little update, all that good stuff. But you know what? First things first. Miss Monica, how you doing today?
Oh, doing well. Looks like that snow might be finally clearing up. And
Dude, don't you dare jinx us. Do not call out
down
nature.
the road of springtime. So planting and all of the gardening stuff going on, which always makes me super excited.
Yes, absolutely. I cannot wait to get these gardens, Victory Gardens, correct?
Yes,
Victory
Victory
Gardens
Garden.
up and running, making our new show, Hometown Homesteaders. It's going to be fabulous. A lot of things in the works here.
Yes.
Before we get started, let's take a moment and say, if you're watching us here, we're primarily on Rumble. You can also find us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. We've got stuff all over. Who am I missing?
Oh, Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, iHeartRadio.
That's a good one,
we got
too.
a lot of different stuff out there. Like us on Facebook, and go ahead and subscribe to the channels.
Okay.
If you like
Hit
what
that
you're
button.
seeing, make sure that you are turning on and smashing that like button and turning on the notifications below so that you can get updates when we put on some new videos.
Absolutely. Like what we do, you support us. It's a very simple process. That being said, oh boy, let's get to the quote-unquote news. We're going to start off with a little bit of levity from the post-millennial.
This is big news.
This is huge news. Huge news. I don't know if anyone was aware. Politico has claimed that Ketanji Brown Jackson will be the first black Supreme Court justice.
Yes.
They have literally never existed until this point.
Nope.
It's kind of like how Black Panther was the first black superhero movie.
Yes.
Wait, what was that trilogy we were talking about yesterday? That doesn't count. Okay, maybe it's the first.
Nope. Spawn?
Crap.
Nope.
Steel with Shaq. Yes.
Yes.
It's been done before. It's amazing, though. You know, before we jump into this just reminds me of I remember it was I want to say Vosh, who is just complete and total socialist, proud socialist, I might add, who he was defending why we needed a Democrat in front instead of President Trump a couple years back, and when they were talking about Joe Biden, they asked him, they said, how can you defend this guy when all the stuff that happened during Obama's years, everything that from 2008 on, from the crash and all the policies put in place? And his response, of course, was, well, that was like a decade ago. I was just a kid. I didn't know about any of that stuff.
Yes.
They literally prey on the ignorance of people by saying, like, I mean, Black Panther's a great example. The first black superhero movie. And those of us who are, children of the 90s go, wait, no, we've got like 5 of them already.
Well, I guess maybe because up until the extended universe, they weren't categorized as superhero movies.
Oh,
I guess you could make that argument.
The extended universe. That was literally, I mean, you could talk about the multiverse, and it's a concept as old as time, but at the same time, they literally pulled that out of their butt a year or two ago because the Infinity Saga, I believe it was called, of Marvel had ended. And so they were like, oh, what can we do? In the multiverse, it's another gimmick, which is fine. Nothing wrong with gimmicks in entertainment, but that is a relatively new gimmick compared to these movies that have always existed. However,
maybe this is just that point in time where whoever was working for Politico and typing this up actually came from a different universe where Thurgood Marshall and Clarence Thomas never existed.
There have been multiple issues with people crossing over from universes where they're just like, why are things different here?
Stay in your own universe.
So Politico falsely claims that Ketanji Brown Jackson will be the first black Supreme Court justice. But the original tweet failed to acknowledge the 2 black Supreme Court justices, Thurgood Marshall and, of course, Clarence Thomas, who is literally still sitting on.
Well, and of course, what they meant to say, which seems to be the running theme with this administration, black Supreme Court, the first female, but they're not allowed to say female because gender doesn't matter.
Exactly. The woman herself cannot define what a female is. And to be fair, hey, are you a biologist?
I'm not.
Then you don't know either.
And I have no idea what she goes by. She, right? Did we determine her pronouns
you lost me here
or
somewhere.
their pronouns or?
Politico's original failed tweet. Excuse me.
Maybe that's why she didn't announce her pronouns.
Is that
so
what it
they
was?
Didn't know.
Oh man, this new system is so tough to get your head wrapped around. That's right. We have to start off with pronouns now. Politico's original tweet failed to acknowledge the two black Supreme Court justices. Here's what it said. Ketanji Brown Jackson will likely be confirmed as the first black Supreme Court justice by the end of this week. Here's how we expect it to go. And, of course, here's Stephen Miller saying it is, in fact, real. This could easily be a meme. It could easily be mockery. But no, oh, no, sirree. They really tweeted this out. Politico would go on to correct their tweet, saying that the original was supposed to include that Jackson would be the first black female Supreme Court justice.
Yes.
Earlier in the confirmation hearings, Jackson claimed that she could not provide a definition for the word woman, as she was not a biologist. And then, of course, their follow-up, like you said, for the record, this replaces an earlier tweet that stated Ketanji Brown Jackson could be the first black Supreme Court justice, but we have the first black female Supreme Court justice. We apologize for the error. Fabulous.
You notice journalistic integrity has just gone down in editing. People just do not edit before they rush to send those tweets out. Do not reread things.
I'm still journalistic integrity? Is that like that's like an oxymoron at this point. Those words are like I'm trying to push the sides of a magnet together, and they're going. Ugh. Senator Mike Lee spoke out about the political blunder in the Judicial Committee meeting on Monday morning, where Jackson's nomination is up for a vote. Quote, "This can't be something that simply focuses on the historic nature of the nomination. Earlier today, there was a Politico tweet. Politico sent out a tweet that reads as follows. We just read that. If that were true, that would come as news to the family of Thurgood Marshall, to Justice Clarence Thomas and his family. When we hear what we've heard today calls for making sure that we respect the need to show inclusiveness, let's remember how members of this committee have treated others. Remember how they treated Justice Clarence Thomas, which we watched that video where he literally called it a public lynching with Joe Biden at the forefront. Remember how they're still treating Clarence Thomas. People on the left are savagely attacking him, one of the most decent human beings that I've ever known." It's really interesting because a talking point that has come up when, because of course, when we're criticizing the potential new justice and we're looking at her history and how she has been consistently light on pedos and terrorists, and we're saying, okay, this is a little weird. We probably don't want this person on the highest court of the land. Of course, the response is, well, you're racist. You're racist. Oddly enough, and I've seen this meme floating around. I kind of wish I'd have pulled it up. Most people, if you were to ask them, how would you envision the perfect Supreme Court? It's literally a picture of 12 Clarence Thomases. He's literally one of the best and most supported conservative justices. We love him, but of course, the left, in their little bubble, they can't wrap their heads around, not my team, racist, bad guys.
Well, because the majority of people don't understand what a judge is actually supposed to do.
Yes. There's too many activist judges. It's like we talked about yesterday. You made the point about politicians are now trying almost to be like actors, where they are trying to virtue signal and
they're trying to have their own Academy Awards. They are really out there just wanting to put on a great performance and get as much people to listen to them. But judges are not supposed to be activists. Judges are supposed to be that well-balanced, interpreting the law as is. They're not supposed to sit
interpreting
down
the Constitution.
Exactly.
They are supposed to be taking, when the law comes to them and they're challenging some aspect of it, they're supposed to literally look at the Constitution and say, does this fit within what our founding fathers envisioned?
Yes.
If the answer is yes, the law stands, or the challenge stands. If the answer is no, kick it back. It's nothing.
That's the thing is, okay, so she might believe that the laws and the rulings for certain material are out of date. It is not her job as a judge to change those.
True. That she should take that up with the legislator.
Yep.
Exactly. That is such a great point. And it's there up until recently we had, or at least we had the illusion of checks and balances, which is how our government should be. Each branch of the government had powers, but those powers were put in check by the others. Now, you have a president ruling by decree. We have judges making their own rules and saying, I don't care if it's against the law, you're going to follow this. It's just the entire thing has gone bunk.
Well, and let's go into what we're looking at as far as
oh boy,
the vote to confirm.
Yes, I will bring up this article, but let me just say, when I say Republicans are trash, These are the individuals I am talking about. Senator Lisa Murkowski and Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney. Utah, do better. Will vote to confirm Ketanji Brown Jackson. They literally broke with their party.
Utah, do better. Your state is
Arkansas,
failing right now.
Do better. Utah, do better. Maine, which I believe wasn't Susan Collins from Maine.
What is his name? The guy right now who's coming. Who's
the governor, right? We just watched that. Was it the governor of Maine who was bashing Trump?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Supposedly a Republican who's really on DeSantis about...
Oh, we'll get to... We have an update about the left's response to DeSantis. Actually, I think that's the next story. But for now, Republican uniparty senators Lisa Murkowski and Mitt Romney announced on Monday they will vote to confirm President Biden's Supreme Court nominee. The senator's announcement came just hours after the Senate Judiciary... President Bo Biden, yes. The senator's announcement came just hours after the Senate Judiciary Committee tied by partisan lines, 11-11, to advance Jackson's nomination. Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer moved to discharge the nomination to the full Senate after the deadlock vote. Murkowski cited Jackson's, quote, demeanor and temperament as the reasons why she would vote to confirm her. After multiple in-depth conversations with Judge Jackson and deliberative review of her record in recent hearings, I will support her historic nomination. There's the key word right there. That's the only thing Murkowski cares about, the historic nomination. You're not going to review the cases and say, holy cow, I probably don't want somebody who is so lenient on these subjects on the Supreme Court, and yet it's all about the historic thing.
Even if it doesn't matter what the subject matter is, you don't want, we personally don't want a judge who's going out there and handing out sentencing based on her own opinion and not the letter of the law.
Exactly.
And that's the bigger thing. Stop putting judges into positions of power who are going through and not doing their job.
I mean, judges, teachers, senators, representatives all over are no longer representing the will of the people. And it says, noted right here, Murkowski voted against Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation in the Supreme Court in 2018. So
yeah, why is she here?
Because apparently Arkansas needs to get it together, get this person out of office, get somebody in who actually gives a crap about the will of the people and doesn't care about virtue signaling, quote unquote, historic.
Well, we need to stop voting straight party line. If you need to look into each of your individual candidates, and I think for a long time, a lot of people were like, oh, well, there's an R next to their name, I'm just going to go ahead and check mark it.
Well, actually, and you're not wrong, but historically, people... you look at the Republican Party's numbers, and even though there is a big wave of support coming for them because of the sheer incompetence of Bo Biden, historically, Republicans have been the least hesitant to go down party lines because they like to
I'm saying either way.
Exactly.
Either way.
No, absolutely. I'm just saying it's one of those things where as you start to become a Republican, you start to kind of hate both sides. You know what I mean? You stop looking at that straight down the line, do that kind of thing. It's just consistent. It's like you're younger, you're liberal, you're rebelling against your dad, but then as you grow older, you grow more conservative, that kind of thing.
Well, and I hate to say it, but I can see why Republicans would vet their people a little bit more because it's their stance.
Yep.
Their stance is competence. Yep. Not popularity, but competence.
Yep.
And
well, it used to be.
Well, it used to be. And now we have people who might not necessarily be
competent?
Full-in Republican.
Okay, fair enough.
Voting for these people because they recognize the name.
Yep, I can give you that.
Although you scroll down.
What's that? Where are we going?
The picture of Romney.
Oh, I haven't got to Romney yet. I was stopping at Murkowski's statement here. And there's nothing crazy. She says, he highlights it here. After multiple in-depth conversations with Judge Jackson and deliberate review of her record in recent hearings, I will support her, again, historic nomination. She goes on and on about it, but
to have the first female black Supreme Court justice at this point, yes, it's historic, but why does it matter so much? If we've done away with the idea of racism,
and apparently gender too. Don't forget about
that. If we are just voting people in based on their record and based on what they've been proven to do, Why is this still a subject?
Because it's all they have right now. The left is just hardcore into creating their own fake boogeymen because real ones don't exist, so that they can be the heroes of their story. They're fighting the bad racists. They're fighting the evil this, the fascists, whatever that. Everything now needs to have an enemy for them to fight. The problem is how they define enemy. Literally anyone who does not think like the hive mind. It really is reminiscent of the Borg. I know you weren't too big into Star Trek The Next Generation. I was a little bit. But the Borg really is a communist collective.
No, I understand the Borg.
Yeah.
It's a hive mind mentality.
Exactly what it is.
It is once you're indoctrinated, you cannot break free because you are no longer yourself.
Exactly. You're no longer an individual. You are a member of the collective. Mm-hmm. You will be assimilated. Exactly. Let's go see. And God, dude, my disdain for the Republican Party really can be summed up with this man right here. Senator Romney called Jackson a, quote, well-qualified jurist and a person of honor in a statement confirming his support for Joe Biden's nominee. I intend to vote in support of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's confirmation to be Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. My statement, I don't give a crap about your statement. Utah, man, I know you got a strong Mormon community out there. I'm not going to bash you or anything you believe because that's a low. By and large, you're a very nice community. I think you guys are fabulous. That being said, I don't care if this guy's part of your secret club. Get him out of there. The fact that he is still around blows my mind.
Well, okay. I remember... what was it? When you and I first started dating?
Oof.
Romney was a presidential candidate.
Oh, that was no. That wasn't. That was not when we first started dating. That was 2012. So about 3 years into us dating.
Okay, well, 3 years.
Okay, well, yeah, it was a while ago.
But
because he wasn't in the 2008, that was a McCain. It was 2012.
I remember, and I distinctly remember this because I was not political before that point. And then when you and I would actually research candidates, he is I'm going to jump on board at the last minute with anything that's popular. Do you remember him coming out and wearing jeans?
Oh, yeah,
and he looked so awkward.
He looked ridiculous.
But I think it was in response to... Was it Obama who came out dressed casually for something?
I mean, it was some ridiculous thing. It doesn't matter. The point, you're absolutely correct. He is the definition of a rhino.
Well, he's a flag in the wind. He'll go whatever direction the wind is
blowing. Exactly. And not only that, but he is also one of the senators who had a child on the Burisma board alongside Hunter Biden. They don't talk about that.
Well, so of course he doesn't want any of this next stuff to come out.
Exactly. This guy is literally the definition of a rhino. The only thing I remember about Romney and Obama was that little snippet that has come back up recently where Romney said, I think Russia's a threat, and Obama said the 80s called, they want their villain back. Oh, yeah, where are you now, Obama? Oh, that's right, they're dragging you out of your basement so you can come support Bo Biden because he's
dragging you away from your retirement and telling you got to come back out and do the what is it, the boat and pony show or whatever?
Oh, yeah. Come out to celebrate the Affordable Care Act and try to raise old Joe's.
Yes.
Floundering numbers.
when all else fails, lean back on something that people enjoyed.
Oh, boy. The only people who enjoyed Obama were people who knew nothing about his presidency.
No, I was talking about the idea of Obamacare.
Oh, true.
Which
yes, again,
it
true.
Started in early form of it started as Romney Care.
Yep, it was. And the weird thing was, during the debates when they were all touting Obamacare and it was based on Romney Care, you notice his team never struck back about it.
Oh, they did. It was silenced.
It was? Really?
It was. Because I remember specifically that coming up because as someone who was not engrossed in politics before you,
right?
I started to really look at different angles and go, okay, well, if I have to watch CNN and I have to watch Fox and I have to watch CNBC and I have to not just pick one news network and really dig into things. Which is when I started to kind of open my eyes to the fact that the majority of them are lying.
Yes, it is a bitter pill, unfortunately, and you gotta let as crazy as this stuff seems sometimes, don't ever let yourself get blackpilled. No matter how insane this is, the thought of this person being on the Supreme Court and, of course, someone like Romney stabbing you in the back over and over and over. If it ever seems bad, just shut it off and go outside.
Yeah.
Just go get some fresh air. I guarantee you
we do that from time to time.
From time to time. Every now and again.
Normally after our show, I'm like, all right, let's go outside.
Let's go outside. This is too much. Don't ever be afraid to do it. Trust me. So, you know what? If she ends up getting confirmed because of these idiots, then whatever. So
I mean, if she does, she does. We, at this point, don't have much say in the matter.
Exactly. I mean, all we can do is say who supports someone who supports pedos and terrorists. You support them? Thank you for making it public. Let's get these people out. That's the best
and I believe even with her being confirmed, we still have a conservative.
Oh, no, we do. It doesn't change anything except for, and people always blast Kavanaugh, just right there, Murkowski voting against him. But, I mean, he sided with the libs. So is Amy Coney Barrett more than the other conservatives. I mean, so that's like we talk about. It's crazy that we as conservatives feel the need to weigh all options, to be balanced, to not just ride party lines, whereas the other side, lockstep, full crazy, no matter how insane it is, we're on board with it and we will adopt it and move it on. And it seems insane.
Well, it's the same generation who was eating Tide Pods. So,
okay.
I don't hold out much hope there.
It's the same generation that was eating Tide Pods and giving out participation trophies. Yes. I understand this, but at the same time, you just have to say, at what point do we stop being so balanced because it keeps biting us?
Well, we take back local.
Yes, exactly. If the rot's going to be clean, like we talked about, we have to start at the bottom and just clean it all the way up to the tippy top.
Which is exactly what they're doing in Florida right now.
No, it is. You know what?
Take back local.
Interestingly enough, there has been a response to the parental rights and education bill out of Florida. A pretty extreme. Let me see here. A
lot of responses.
Oh, I'm sorry. This isn't what the article. This is actually just a picture that may hold some relevance. Now let's hop to the article. So, from the Gateway Pundit, New York City Mayor Adams hopes to lure Floridians back to the Empire State by promising to teach sex to kindergartners.
Yes.
And the Gateway Pundit, very right leaning. I like them because they put it like it is, and that's exactly what's happening. Again, if you're not aware, the parental right and education bill literally just says between the ages of kindergarten and third grade, we don't want any conversations in publicly to be sexually related of any kind. We don't want the teachers telling the kids that keep these secrets from your parents.
Yep.
We literally, and the thing is, the law even allows a private one-on-one. Like if a kid came to the teacher's allowed to talk to them about whatever they want. They just can't say, don't tell your parents.
Exactly.
Because they can be held liable now. So
that's Which they should be. If you are handing your child over to someone, whatever they're saying to your child, they should be held liable for.
I honestly think that the law doesn't go far enough. It is very basic, but essentially people who call it the Don't Say Gay bill, first off, they're morons. They didn't read it, but the bill could easily be called the Don't Say Straight bill by those rules because there's no specifications in there. It says literally, these are kindergarten through third graders. We don't want any talk of a sexual nature, period, in a public educational setting. That's all the bill says, and they're losing their minds over it, and this is the result. But again...
Well, because none of them read into it. They jump on board with, hey, this is the bullet point that we want you.
What did you say before the show? You remember? About TLDR striking again.
TLDR, I swear. It is the worst thing to happen to our generation. Too long, didn't read. Give me the synopsis of it. I mean, when did we get to the point where we just trust anybody to tell us what these things contain and vote one way or another? Like, why? And granted, there's thousands of pages in some of these bills that they pushed through.
Of course. But Florida, it was beautiful how simple it was. It was, like I said, it was literally a 5-sentence paragraph.
Well, and that's what we need more of.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everything should be simplified down as far as possible. But I just had to stop you right there. Now, are you honestly insinuating that someone would do that they would go on the internet and lie?
No way.
No way. Everything is true.
That doesn't happen.
Never.
I bought a unicorn yesterday. You want to see it?
I got a bridge to sell you. So, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, such a standing follow-up to Bill de Blasio, is hoping to lure Floridians back to the Empire State by promising to teach sex to kindergartners. And there's a sign here that says, He's standing next to the sign. It says, "People say a lot of ridiculous things in New York." Quote, and it's in rainbow. "Don't say gay isn't one of them."
I love how they made sure to put "don't say gay" in rainbow.
Yep, it's in rainbow, despite the rest of the text being white on a black background. Oh, dude, how will Florida ever recover from this bill? So look at this. It says, Adams is spending money on a "don't say gay" billboards in Florida, hoping by peddling this lie, the leftists in the state will flee back to New York City and its record high crime rates, high taxes, and tyranny.
Well, and it's really funny because the reason that this bill passed in Florida is because parents don't want you teaching their children about sex.
And they want to know what you're teaching.
Yes.
It's a transparency bill. Absolutely.
And there are certain subjects that teachers should be teaching. There are certain subjects that teachers need to stay away from because it's not their job and it's not their place.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's trying to lure people back specifically from Florida is because he knows that the lockdowns, the vaccination passports, New York City used to be one of our want-to-see destinations.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
We had talked about the girls and I going and doing a shopping trip and having this great experience. And
seeing Niagara Falls,
I grew up with, I had gone to that side of Niagara
a giant
Falls.
trip out of it. It would have been great.
And grew up, enjoying Sex in the City and all of these like adult-esque things about New York City, but also it was still approachably a family vacation because it's a destination spot.
Yeah. Or
right?
Was.
Exactly.
Yep.
It was.
It was.
And now you look at somewhere like that where how much of their income was based on tourists?
Oh, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like they're near broke because of the, like you said, the mass exodus.
Yes.
After everything, all the insane things that
Warren
and
a big
Wilhelm,
part of that is nobody
Bill
wants
de Blasio.
to go there. Like nobody wants to visit. Nobody wants to bring money and spend money. Nobody wants to go to the restaurants, the theaters, and all that because of, like you said, the crime rates, the taxes, and the vaccination
policies.
passports and all of the requirements. And now what they're going to try to do is get families to come back by promising that they're going to teach their first grader about sex. Like that. Nope.
I mean, the fact that this is, and you, for those listening on the podcast, we're looking at the picture right now of what the billboards look like. And it says, "Come to the city where you say whatever you want," in the middle, and of course says New York City, heart you. But then surrounding it in varying sizes and colors is the word gay over and over and over and over and over. And that right there, the fact that that's what they think it's about shows not only their level of ignorance, but the level of psychosis. Like I said, the lockstep party line that they walk, where this is the message that they're trying to push across the board. Yeah. So you have to get on board with it. And if you don't, I guess you're no better than the others.
But you know what? As far as Florida is concerned, let them. Let them buy these billboards. Let them spend their money in your state.
I know, that's what I was thinking too.
Let them lose out more.
Thanks for the money?
Yeah.
I mean, you're hurting us by giving us money. It's kind of like if we ever get to the point where we do this live and we have chats, and even more importantly, super chats. If you've ever watched anyone's show on like YouTube, you can buy a super chat for, I think, whatever price you want, but some people spend like $5. Some people spend a lot of money, and it basically just highlights the message so the person will see it. People spend money on those messages saying like mean things to bash people on the show, and you'll see the host to like read it and go, "Okay, well, thanks for the $5."
Yeah,
I mean, it's so stupid.
This is exact, and you know what? Even more so, if this does lure people from Florida to New York City, great, because those are the people that you don't want in your community, anyways.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say.
If New York wants that to be part of their community, then by all means, they can become the
cesspool of America. They're going to try to be the West Coast of the East Coast.
We kind of already knew that about New York to a certain extent. It always has been kind of that.
Yeah, but New York had
grim
something.
And dirty.
It had something originally. Now it's turning into Detroit. I'm just going to call a spade a spade.
It's turning into Chicago.
Oh boy, that's even worse. I mean, Detroit's garbage.
Detroit's garbage. Chicago still has like some attractions, but the policies are killing it.
Yeah, Lori Lightfoot's destroying that town. I mean, that's a town run by mobsters, and to be fair, so is New York City. We need someone like Giuliani back to just clear all these people out. But I mean, that's...
Well, and we will, but at the same point, you gotta let it fail.
Oh,
and it's hard to watch these amazing empires, these places that grew and thrived and became these wonderful monuments. And sometimes you gotta let them go.
Yep.
Like California, let it go. Let it do its thing. Let it fail.
The only problem with that mentality is we have to follow it through to the end. We have to let them fail entirely. But unfortunately, since our country is run by a bunch of money laundering lunatics, it will never fail. They'll just throw more money at them. Oh, here, let's bail them out. They're having rough times, even though they literally created their own destruction.
But that's the thing, is you start local. Like conservatism, like you... And I keep saying like, which I hate.
Like.
Sorry.
Like and subscribe.
To be truly conservative, the majority of your ideas grow from the ground up. Mm-hmm. You know, they're very based, and you start off with a seed.
Yep.
You know, and when you look at the liberal side of things, it is the policy starts from the top and just gets crammed down on
and
you.
Just smashes the little guy, just stomps him out and says comply or face the boot.
And I think we've gotten to the point where people are fed up with it. Especially it became so pronounced with COVID lockdowns. And now you're scared for a little while of something, you react to it. But then when you get to the point where you feel like your reaction is an overreaction, you start to fight back and go, wait, no, I don't need to be scared of this anymore.
Yep. I mean, it's we should just keep that clip from V for Vendetta where he's talking about, I know why you did it. I know you were afraid. Who wouldn't be? And he talks about war, disease, violence. Yes. And it all goes back to that. If you need to find a guilty party, you need only look in the mirror.
Yes.
And like you said, it is about retaking the reins.
Yes.
Because we let lunatics take over, and now we are unfortunately reaping the cost of that action.
And we did it. We allowed it to happen.
Of course.
On the basis of...
Look at what happens when conservatives fall asleep at the wheel. I mean, we were, from the 90s, we were just kind of like, yeah, all right, cool, you do your thing. And then you can tell from... basically 2003 onward, ever since the introduction of, actually it might have been 2001 or 2002, the introduction of the Patriot Act. From then on, it just got worse and worse and worse.
Well, and even before that, like the preaching of tolerance was the big issue.
Before that, and you can argue that this stuff has always existed, but that's when it really started to scale up. That's when they stopped caring about the mask. Like the mask began to come off little by little until now it's like, oh, we don't even care anymore. We'll rub it in your faces.
I do think that you and I should go over the. Have you ever read Plato's The Republic?
Oh, jeez. Ages ago. I remember nothing. I guess I should say I remember very little.
It is before society formed into what it is today. Mm-hmm. It is prophetic.
Really?
Oh, it talks about the wheel and how things turn and how the Republic rises due to fighting and having to survive, and then innovation happens, and then all of these great speakers and great minds come out, and then as the great minds come out, things get twisted and perverted, which causes the fall of the Republic.
Wow, that is pretty prophetic right there.
I want to reread it. It's been a while since I've actually dived into it, but some of his teachings and some of the things that he thought about are way ahead of his time, and can really be applied to what we're seeing today politically. Yeah,
no doubt in my mind. We will have to go over that. That's definitely a good story for another day. Man, it's, I mean, you can't trace this back to any individual moment, but we can all see at this point that we're on a collision course. Our country is on a collision course with the rock bottom. And I mean, these next couple of years are going to be rough. The supply chain, everything going on right now, it is, and that's the worst part about it, is the leadership has no interest in solving it. They're not talking about it. We only hear about it because, of course, media doesn't mean what it used to mean.
And I think a big part of that is that the Dems have pushed their policies as far as they can, and then they're realizing that the theory behind those policies is incorrect. And there's no way out of it. Yeah. There's no escape clause when your theory is that if you keep printing money, the economy will keep turning.
Yep.
That's not how economics works.
I don't think any of these people took economics courses. AOC has a degree in economics, and yeah, would you believe her for any form of investing?
No.
Would you trust her guidance for anything? Me
No.
either. You know what? This is getting heavy, Doc. Let's go ahead and let's hop over to something a little later. So
yes,
we talked about
retaking Twitter.
Oh, get out of here. Who cares about Twitter? I'll tell you who, Elon Musk. So, of course, we saw yesterday that now he has a 9% stake. Well, he has now officially joined their board of directors after purchasing that 9.2% stake. The funny thing is, and I didn't realize this until I had done a little research yesterday, Jack Dorsey, who is the former head of Twitter, or at least the face of it, he only has a 2.5% stake. That just shows how big Elon took a chunk of it. And then, of course, they asked the question, so will he let Trump back on? Oh, boy, sparks will fly. So Tesla CEO has joined Twitter's board of directors a day after disclosing that he took a 9% stake in the social media platform, which has prompted its stock to surge by nearly 30%. They entered the agreement with Musk and Musk on Monday that will give the billionaire a seat on its board, with the term expiring at its 2024 annual shareholders meeting. Man, Musk, who has been highly critical of Twitter and its policies, said he's excited to, quote, make significant improvements to Twitter in coming months. Now, it's hard to be optimistic because of how big of a cesspool Twitter is, but I'm not going to lie. I like the idea of someone like Elon Musk just being on there wreaking havoc.
Well, and to be fair, why recreate the platform?
Yeah,
when
that's
you've
one thing
already
we
got
always
it.
hear. They're like, we need to go start our own platform. You need to do that. And then every time it happens, remember Parler? It gets viciously attacked by the powers that be. I'm surprised. I mean, Gab is the sole survivor, and it's because he literally built his infrastructure from the bottom up and owns it all.
It's a money grab.
It is.
It is a money grab, and they feel threatened. Yep. But they don't, and it's the Dem policies. When they feel threatened, they clench and they lock down. Whereas if Twitter would stop with the banning and truly become a freedom of speech platform. And, okay, every person who posts on there, you become personally liable for what you say. The company's not liable for what you say because you are an individual or a company or whatever you put out. Yep. But your account and the person posting behind your account is liable.
So the Wikipedia defense.
Well,
I mean, it's
doesn't it make sense that if we open it up and somebody says something stupid, that person who actually said it would be accountable?
I mean, that makes a little too much sense, so I'm going to go with no.
Instead of the person who's supposed to be reading through these billions of different tweets and pick out the one that somebody said something stupid and ban it.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Why would we set ourselves up for failure like that?
Yeah, I mean...
allow for freedom of speech and hold accountability to the individual.
Yeah, Daily Wire, when they launched their new Razor campaign after Harry's bashed them... Remember that Harry's only dropped sponsorship after a high schooler with 2 followers randomly said to Harry's, hey, why do you support these guys? They're evil. Yeah. That was all it took. They're so scared of the mob. Which again, goes back to why democracy doesn't work in its raw form.
They didn't change any of their policies.
No.
They were the exact same company that Harry's signed on with to begin with. But then they wanted to virtue signal and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe that anyone would watch this.
The funny thing is...
there are people that watch it.
There are people that watch it. Funny thing is, we actually saw an interview with the co-owner, and he actually said, ironically enough, they had actually stopped advertising. The contract had run out. They were on their way out. They decided to make this big virtue signaling move as they were already on their way out.
That's the thing, is you can break ties with a company without turning around and bashing them. You can decide that your ideology and that your dollar needs to go somewhere else. Absolutely. But to feel the need to just blast it out there and say, well, we've done this specifically for this reason because this is an evil company. Then expect somebody to lash back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't attack and expect somebody to not stand up for themselves.
Well, that's what they're used to. They're used to these companies just cowering in fear from the mob, the Twitter woke mob who will... I mean, we actually just saw... there was an article, and we were watching an interview of a girl who the... oh, man, what was it? WMAL, the large conservative radio broadcasting out of D.C. They have Bongino and a bunch of other people. Well, anyways, the company itself is run by apparently a bunch of libtards who actually don't even care anything about conservatives. They're just trying to make as much money as they can off of it. And she tweeted a joke about Kamala Harris's outfit at the State of the Union. Boom, fired like that. And that's the problem there is, like you said, it's not balanced anymore. You can't make it, you just, there's no levity, there's no situation where, someone can make a joke and okay, no.
Well, it was Cancel like Blizzards came out and said that they were repealing the vaccination mandate at their company.
Right.
And then a few individuals decided to protest it, and then they put it back in place.
That's so ridiculous. Yeah, the WMAL said that they were getting, like, there was a campaign on Twitter against this girl, calling her racist and all these things, even though she was making a joke about the Kamala Harris's ridiculous UPS outfit.
Yes.
And the woke mob decided they were going to bombard WMAL with all this material saying she's a racist, blah, 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 blah. The girl even said the other company that she worked for literally laughed at the emails they got. But because WMAL is actually run by libtards, they saw it as, oh no, the woke mob is coming for us. We better do something. And the only thing they could think of, fire the girl to appease the mob.
But it's really funny is that before Musk bought into Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter, yes, right before he did. And of course, as the article goes on, it talks about, Errol Weber says, Elon Musk is now the largest shareholder of Twitter. Time to get this platform back to its former glory. Step 1, bring back President Trump. Step 2, give everyone who has been banned a second chance. Step 3, end all forms of political and other censorship. Couldn't have said it better myself. However, as Ms. Monica said, from the Daily Caller, Elon Musk consulted with the Babylon Bee before buying a chunk of Twitter. Seth Dillon, who owns the Bee, tweeted out, Musk reached out to us before he polled his followers about Twitter's commitment to free speech. He wanted to confirm that we had, in fact, been suspended. He even mused on that call that he might need to buy Twitter. Now he's the largest shareholder and has a seat on the board. For those who weren't aware, the Babylon Bee called Rachel Levine the Man of the Year after she was proclaimed the Woman of the Year, and they were instantly banned for it. And they were like, why are you banned? And then, of course, Tucker Carlson got banned for saying, because he had the 2 tweets, I believe we covered this, the 2 tweets saying Rachel Levine is Man of the Year, Rachel Levine is Woman of the Year. And he literally said, well, both of these can be true, but that's all it took.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they're allowed to be whatever gender identity that they want to be. But the rest of us have to recognize that we're not allowed to view them as anything other than what they want to be viewed as.
Nope. And, they cover that
and
right
if anybody asks, I would like to be viewed as a princess millionaire.
Princess millionaire. Yes. Interesting. I would have thought you were the queen. But
no, because the queen has responsibilities.
No. Oh, no.
And Queen now has been abducted.
Oh, that's true. Queen is now not a something. Yeah.
I don't want to be a queen.
So, quote, we don't believe that facts are hate speech, that speaking truth is hate speech, the CEO of Babylon Bee said. At some point, people need to stick by this, Tucker. People have to be willing to say, listen, if they want us to deny the truth in order to stay on this platform, we speak the truth, make them kick you off, make them boot you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 100% correct. Now, do I honestly think anything will come of it because of the cesspool that is Twitter?
No, but maybe you'll get your account back.
Maybe I'll get my account back. Maybe. I was banned a long time ago. And I was recently banned on Reddit as well. That was great. What are you going to do? I mean, if they fear the truth, then you have no place amongst them. That's the big problem here. So, oh, Lordy, who knows what's going to happen with this whole Twitter situation. I tell you what. We've talked about old Mr. Hunter Biden and the ongoing investigations with him. But one thing that's never been really delved into, at least on the public front, is who the big guy is. If you recall from the emails, it's been speculated that the big guy, that's too big, there we go, that the big guy referenced in the emails, 10% for the big guy, as Hunter said, was, of course, Mr. Beau Biden himself. However, we do have a little bit of an update here. Has Joe Biden been pulled into Hunter grand jury probe? Witnesses asked to identify, quote, the big guy who would get kickback in the deal with Chinese energy giant after former associate claimed it was the president. That, I believe, are they talking about Bob Alinsky? Bob Alinsky was the whistleblower from 2020 who came out and said, I worked with Hunter Biden. The big guy was Joe Biden.
I believe so, because he's the one that supposedly met with him, right?
Yes. Well, it's documented that he was meeting with them.
Well, because one of the emails said something about lunch with the big guy.
Yep.
And then, according to their secretary accounts, Joe Biden was the one that met them for lunch.
Exactly. Says a federal tax investigation into President Joe Biden's son and his business deals began in 2018. Investigation remains active. Hunter fired, blah, 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 blah. On Monday, the New York Post reported that one witness had been asked who they believed, quote, the big guy was, although the witness's answer wasn't shared. And then, of course, they say March 2017, email found on Hunter's laptop discussed a proposed deal with a Chinese energy firm and included the phrase 10 held by H for the big guy, H being Hunter. Speculation about the identity of the big guy has remained. Joe Biden has always insisted he was not involved in his son's business dealings. That, of course, has already been proven to be false, considering they shared a bank account.
Well, you can share a bank account with someone and not know what their business dealings are. I mean, it is incredibly stupid to do that. It is something that any accountant would advise against. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you're sharing an account with someone, you should definitely know their business. Mm-hmm. But yes, it does happen sometimes where people don't.
It follows the Washington Post and the New York Times, also confirming the authenticity of the content of the laptop Hunter left at a Delaware repair show. I'm guessing repair shop, because it was a repair shop. I mean, again, just remember, it was not that long ago that this laptop, the words of the current president himself, was Russian disinformation, did not exist. They buried this, they hid it from the public, and it in fact did sway the election because, like I said, 15% of people polled said if they knew about it, they wouldn't have voted for Mr. Biden, and that's the election.
Well, and now they're all coming out saying, well, yes, this is true, but no apologies to any of the news sources. I was watching Gutfeld, and he was talking about how he would like a big check from the Washington Post since they were dragging him over the coals over it and telling, it's disinformation, and I can't believe that they would report like this. And no, there is a certain extent where I will believe that you don't report on things until you fact check it.
Right.
Like we said, integrity.
Oh, journalistic integrity is an oxymoron these days. It has been for a while now.
It's just sad.
It's the media, and this even includes Fox News, who I firmly believe is in fact controlled opposition. It's all just the propaganda arm of the Uniparty. It doesn't matter who's good, who's bad. The very fact that anyone associates Fox News strictly with Republicans and conservatives, they overlook all the information in front of their face. Fox called Arizona for Biden hours before the counting was done. They have had it out for conservatives and especially President Trump for a long time. So anyone who tries to say, well, you just watch Fox News, just throw it back in their face. Say, I don't watch any mainstream media because it's all garbage.
No, I watch all the mainstream media to figure out who's lying about what.
Fair enough. We do review all the mainstream media.
That's the thing is you can't just cut yourself off from it. You have to look at it and critically think about what they're saying and how they're saying it.
Absolutely. So we'll keep updates on that story because, I mean, honestly, aside from the fact that the questions are now in an official record of who is the big guy. And, of course, the speculation, I'll say, is that it is Joe Biden himself. This could actually provide an alternate route to those 25th Amendment rumors we were hearing a while back of getting rid of Beau Biden. So if they end up throwing Hunter under the bus, they may just throw him too. But, of course, as we know, who would that leave us in charge? Oh, Lord.
No.
From the New York Post. Harris slammed for going maskless at D.C. school while students covered up. Vice President Kamala Harris was ripped after foregoing a face covering while visiting a Washington, D.C. school. People still wear those, huh? While several students masked up despite the optional guidance. Now, Monica pointed this out to me before the show started. My eyes, and sometimes reading all this news and your internal biases, they glaze over a little bit. My eyes went right over that word. Optional guidance. And at first I was looking at this and I'm just like, this is the insane thing. And like they say right here, Ted Cruz put it best: rules for thee but not for me. And the Republicans all came out against it. Like Andy Biggs out of Arizona said it was abhorrent to see the vice president of the United States flaunting around a stage while children were fully masked next to her. If the Biden-Harris regime had the ability to keep all Americans, including children, in masks forever, they would, he continued. Keeping masks on Americans and their children is not following the science. And that was my stance, too. I was very upset. Like, look at this picture. God, that lady she's a demon. But anyways.
She does look like she's about ready to eat some small children there, doesn't she?
Yep, I see that. And I'm like, that's a sick picture. And you scroll down and there's another one. But then you look at the picture a little closer and you go, wait, that person there doesn't have a mask on. That girl right there doesn't have one on. Even though the publicity pictures all show masked individuals. So I do think this is a form of a psyop. At the same time, you're 100% right. The fact that like this picture right here looks so infuriating is actually conservative clickbait, because it even said at the beginning of the article, it was optional. And where's that other picture with the...
And this is one of those rare instances where I'm like, okay, at what point do we have to say she's now doing what we want her to do, to go into places without a mask on?
Yep.
To stop pretending like this is a thing that needs to continue.
So I would answer your question by saying, and we can blame Mitt Romney because he was one of a few Republicans who didn't show up for the vote on the federal mask mandate that Biden was pushing. When they completely dropped the rules across the board, this is something that I think should actually be celebrated. Like you're insinuating.
Yes, when they come forward and say, we're done with this and it needs to end.
Unless you want it to.
But we need to be more open to that idea.
Yep.
Instead of saying, well, if you made us wear a mask, you have to wear one now.
Yeah.
That doesn't get us anywhere. Whereas I think at this point we need to go, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
Camel Toe, you did a great job. Good job. No mask. But
well done.
The fact that we had to angle the pictures to show the kids in masks behind them. And realistically, if the kids want to wear their masks, it's just like anything else with kids.
I'm just going to show that picture one more time.
Where she looks like she's about to lean across the table.
Children.
Yes.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Oh my god.
No,
I can't look at it
Biden smells children.
Oh, I was actually quoting Hocus Pocus, like she was gonna eat the children, because that's what that picture looks like. That is terrifying.
And if it's like it's one of those things where if you don't feel comfortable for whatever reason and you believe that works for you, I would hope that if that was the teaching that I had for our kids, which it's not, but if it was, I would want them to listen.
And that's a good point. The children in that, as bad as that photo may look, at least, like I said, at first glance, you look at it and you're like, that's sick. She's not wearing a mask, but all the kids are. The masks are optional, so all that's represented is, like you said, the parenting. That's what's represented right there. The parents are the ones who say, you have to wear this mask, wear it, because most of those kids are, but some of them are not. And
in that particular area, I'm sure it was probably really drilled into them that you always have this on.
Yes. I mean, I have seen, how do I put this without, getting banned from all media? Demographic reports that certain demographics are clinging to the idea of a mask a lot more than others.
Yes.
And it's a history thing. You can look into certain things that have happened in the past, but the point is, they're being extra cautious, and no one can fault them for that.
Yeah.
If you see somebody, if I see somebody alone in a car with a mask on, I will 100% make fun of them. But if I'm just out and about and I see somebody in a mask, I don't really care.
And it needs to stop being a thing.
Exactly. That's the big thing.
We need to stop trying to push it on people who don't want it, and then allow the people who want to continue with that behavior to continue with it. It's like a lot of other things. What they do with or without their mask does not affect me.
Exactly. And that's the best way to look at it. And the problem is, again, this goes back to what we were talking about with the conservative and a libertarian mindset of you do you, I'm going to do me, and if I'm not interested in what you're doing, I'm going to walk the other direction. The problem is that's a mindset that you and I'm going to use the very loose term, our side, but at least people with that mentality believe, like the live and let live, you can wear your mask, whatever. The problem is those other people look back. Oh, you see, I'm generalizing again. I was going to say they look back at us and say they should be wearing a mask, but even that sect of the population has shrunk considerably.
Yes.
It's like the crazy mask people who are like, everyone should wear a double mask. Ah. Those people have shrunk. You're right. You're right. It all starts with us. It starts with everybody. We need to stop generalizing.
We as Americans need to stop attacking each other.
You are right. All right.
We need to get to the point where, okay, she didn't want to wear her mask. It's an optional thing. And there were kids who did. Who cares?
Yeah. 100% agree with you. That's a really good point. That was a really good article. You're right. We were actually debating whether or not we wanted to talk about that article because who cares about Kamala Harris? But at the same time, it is a really good point to be made that that article is intended to draw outrage from conservatives. And unfortunately...
over her doing what we want her to do.
Exactly. This is one of those rare cases where, like that Stacey Abrams picture from a month or so back where she was sitting there like with this big goofy smile amongst a whole room of children that had masks on, but there was a mask mandate. So that was a cause for outrage. But you're right. That
would make me angry.
And it did. But this, you're right. This is something different. If anything, God, I can't believe I'm about to say this crap. Kamala Harris did the right thing.
I know.
Okay.
It doesn't make up for everything, but it is a small step.
We don't make up for anything, but you're right. This is saying as
our
old as time,
leaders
man.
and the way that they act have a trickle-down effect on society.
It really does. It really does, even on a local stage, which brings us to our next story here and our final story of the day. This is from the Gateway Pundit again. Michigan AG Dana Nessel, we've talked about her before, makes multiple jokes about being, quote, blackout drunk at MSU football games after Trump-endorsed AG candidate Matt DePerno fact-checks her at a rally.
Yeah.
So it says, on Saturday, thousands of Trump supporters stood in the field filled with blah, 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 blah. I like they say, as they waited in line to see America's greatest president, Donald J. Trump. Well spoken. As the long line of Trump supporters got closer to the soccer stadium where the indoor rally was being held, they got a chance to see the fearless GOP primary candidate for Michigan AG, Matt DePerno, who was, quote, fact-checking Michigan's current radical and, quote, blackout drunk AG Dana Nessel. He says earlier this year, Dana Nessel had to be wheeled out of a U of M MSU football game because she was blackout drunk. Fact-check that, Dana. Somewhere in an undisclosed location, Michigan's far-left attorney general was seated comfortably in front of a camera between Senator Jeff Irwin and the outspoken Nessel fangirl and Democrat City Clerk Barb Bynum. The sniping trio who behaved more like they were auditioning for a role in Gossip Girls than elected public officials sat for over 3 hours on a couch criticizing and mocking Republicans who attended the Trump rally.
This is exactly what we were talking about with these elected officials who now feel like they need to be celebrity status. Mm-hmm. And what the internet has done for us has allowed everybody to go out and to live stream their opinion of things. And okay, to be fair, if she had done this correctly, it could have been a very good moment for her.
Oh, yeah? How so?
Because it was like Crowder live streaming the State of the Union.
Yes.
And fact-checking it. And Tim Pool live streaming the State of the Union with the drinking game.
I was going to say, we were going to do that till we got trashed.
But Crowder and Pool are not elected officials. They're personalities that are allowed to get away with certain types of behavior.
Especially not the state's top law enforcement officer.
Yes. And she comes right out in the video. Uh-huh. And when he says, you were blackout drunk at the MSU U of M game, she tries to defend that. And I'm not saying that you can't get drunk. By all means, I didn't even do a show last week because I had gotten drunk with my grandmother and
fun times were had.
Needed a little bit more recovery time the next day.
Just a bit.
But this is the Attorney General in a very public setting who apparently got so tore up wasted she had to be wheelchaired out of the event.
She did. She was completely trashed. And, I am all about people having a good time, but when you're in a public office, one of the highest offices in the land, and you already have so much controversy around all the mistakes you made defending freshwater mussels at the expense of people's livelihood, I don't think you really have much to be celebrating, let alone making a public mockery of yourself.
Well, and part of it could be, that Michigan people get really riled up over their sport ball, and when it's U of M versus MSU,
that is true. U of M versus MSU. Maybe there is a little bit more forgiveness to be given here, but she didn't even make it to the end of the game, so she wasn't there for the sport ball. She was there for the booze.
Well, and
she was there for the Madison Cawthorn party.
Scrolling down further in what they were talking, the Madison Cawthorn party. Oh my God, that's what they're going to be called from now on. But he doesn't attend. But
well, they didn't have a wheelchair accessible ramp. Anyways, go on.
Well, and when you scroll down further in the article, it says the family of Brandon Santo, who wasn't so lucky to be surrounded by an entourage of people taking care of him, is probably not laughing.
Oh, yeah.
So it talks about a 19-year-old who, from Grand Valley State student Brandon Santo, who was visiting friends at MSU, went missing. Several months later, his body was found in East Lansing's Red Cedar River. The cause of death was drowning, with alcohol likely playing a contributing role. The Ingham County Medical Examiner's Office determined that Brandon Santo's blood alcohol level was 0.22. So we're talking about a 19-year-old at the same event as this attorney general. If you're going to take on that celebrity status and put yourself out there, you have to be accountable for who you're influencing.
Yeah, and it's not even about celebrity status. This is an office of the government.
Yes, like this is a horrible, horrible tragedy that we need to address as Americans. That okay, there's a difference between kicking back and having a drink and enjoying yourself and getting so blackout drunk that you need to be wheelchaired out of somewhere.
I mean, right below it, it puts it pretty well. It says, what kind of message is Nestle sending to our youth, especially our college students in Michigan, when she makes jokes about being, quote, blackout drunk on the same day a beloved 19-year-old student went missing and was later found with blood alcohol level that may have rivaled Nestle's that day.
Yeah.
Maybe Dana should spend less time attacking good family men like Matt DePerno, who unselfishly fights for the rights of citizens in Michigan while she plots how she will use her position to punish her political opponents. That was one thing she was doing in that little sit around. She was bragging about how she was treating... Oh, where's the quote? Sorry. She was bragging about how she was treating... charging Democrats and Republicans for voter fraud in Michigan. She was... I mean, these people... It's, like you said, it's a celebrity status culture to the point where they get to these positions of power and it doesn't matter the road that led them there. They kick their feet up on their desk and they say, I can do whatever I want. Yeah. I'm in charge. It's never about the will of the people. It's never about the constituents. It's about me, 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 me. And that is literally the opposite. Hey, you want to go be a movie star and get trashed? You want to go pull a Robert Downey Jr. or a Charlie Sheen? Go right ahead. Do not do it when you are a public official because you represent us.
Yeah.
That's all it comes down to.
You're not out there to be drinking and party. Like, that's not what your job entails.
Exactly.
And if you're going to have that personality, if you're going to be that person, then you're influencing younger generations.
Unfortunately, it's a Democrat thing now. And some Republicans, but not many. It's primarily a Democrat thing where they're trying to be these influencers, for lack of a better word, like AOC. Or even, I don't know if you remember, Ron DeSantis, his running opponent, the Democrat opponent, Andrew Gilliam, I believe his name was. I could be wrong. I could be thinking of someone else. I believe it was Andrew Gilliam. And if it's not Andrew, I'm sorry. When he lost the election, he was found a couple days later naked, passed out on the floor of a hotel room, oozing drugs, the details of which we don't even need to go into, but that's the point. Just like this person, and unfortunately they all seem to share the same party, it's not about, I'm here, how can I help my constituents? It's about, let the revelry begin, let's go to the Madison Cawthorn parties and have a good time. I will never stop calling him that. I'm bringing exposure to his story. Hey, Kevin McCarthy, I'm right here, baby.
I'm looking forward to when names come out on some of that.
Oh, see, and maybe I'm too black-pilled, but you say when, and I think if.
You know? I'm hopeful.
Yep. Well, I think that is, I guess, a good enough note as any to end on. It really is just about serving your constituents and actually giving a crap about the will of the people, as opposed to trying to get in a position where, like Bo Jiden, you can literally get in at age 29 and do nothing.
And be a millionaire.
Have your net worth tied to all these shady deals you're giving your brother and your son. And whether or not the money ties back to him at the end of the day, we know he was benefiting from it one way or the other. Even indirectly, nepotism does benefit, and it is something that should be stopped.
Yes.
So
yes, it absolutely is.
Fabulous.
Well, and there's a difference between handing out things to people who deserve it that are close to you and handing out things to people who have shown absolutely no reason.
Oh, absolutely.
To be into certain positions that they are. But that being said, with our end note being on Michigan, make sure that you are getting out and voting.
Yes.
And being an active participant, because the Dems are going to be fighting the Republicans, and this is going to get ugly.
Yep.
We need to make sure that we have our people out there, have them at the booths, get all your friends involved and actually look at the candidates and see what's going on, and see their track record on things.
Yep, and that is one thing that as the election season heats up and as we start to see which names are emerging on top and all that stuff, we will cover it more and more, especially on the local scale. Yes. But for anyone who may be listening outside of Michigan, do your due diligence. Yes. Do your homework. The other side isn't. The other side is literally just going right down the line, so be better.
And if you want to hear more about those candidates for future episodes, make sure that you subscribe, turn on those alerts, that you are a part of our active audience so that you can learn more about what's going on in Michigan. We will safely TLDR some information for you if you don't have time to read through all of it.
It's a dangerous weapon, but one that must be wielded as long as you are careful. So fabulous. Well, I hope everybody out there has a groovy rest of your Tuesday, and I suppose we shall see everyone tomorrow.